On today's Employee Spotlight, we're visiting the garage of our resident Mustang II enthusiast. So if you ever placed an order at CJ Pony Parts, you've probably talked to Brian at some point, and if you have a Mustang II, I guarantee it, as you are the Mustang II guy here at CJ's. So let's talk about these cars. I mean, obviously the Handler we did a video on not that long ago, but you've got the Cobra II and even a Mustang II go-kart. Now what is it about the Mustang II? I mean, they're kind of not as loved as some of the other years, but obviously you're a huge fan.
Right out of high school, the first Mustang I ever saw was right out here on Route 22, was a bright red King Cobra with a decal. And ever since I saw that car, I wanted it. Back then it was way too much money, but now that I have the chance, I just love the car. It's the last era of, you could go to the dealership and you could get the color interior you wanted with the color exterior you wanted. It wasn't all in a package.
Before the packages
right,
that you have to get now.
You could do everything, any kind of way you wanted that car ordered. And I mean, I've had, to date, probably 60 plus Mustangs. I always gravitate back to the two. It's the first one I bought back in 1993. I was fortunate enough to find this car on eBay and this car on Marketplace. So I've always gravitated back to the two. I guess back then it's because I could afford, and as I got older, it's more by what I appreciated.
Now, what was your first Mustang II that you picked up?
My very first Mustang II was a brown 1978 King Cobra.
King Cobra in brown?
It was
I've never even seen a brown one before.
No, they 400 of them, I think, that were made. It wasn't many. I have to go back and look at numbers, but it was not many that were made.
Okay, well, speaking of rare, tell us about the Handler. Now, we've always done a video on this already, but people may have missed that video. Let's talk about that. How'd you find this car? I mean, we know what, there's 6 of these?
Legend has it 6 of these cars were built. They were giveaway cars for ISCA competition. If you had a car in a car show and you won one of these cars. This is car number 1 of 6. 23,000 original miles. Everything on the car, excluding tires and fuel tank, is original. Plugs, wires, cap, rotor, everything. Headlights have not been touched.
Now, one of the crazy things with this, I remember we did the video before, is, I mean, obviously the body work is insane, but the graphics are painted. I mean, today everything's vinyl. Even the window banner on this is painted on. I mean, that's crazy.
Everything's painted.
Now, what was the tie-in with Monroe? I know it was, you said it was ISCA?
ISCA was a show series back in the 70s. My understanding is Monroe sponsored it. They had the first steel body car toured the country. Everybody loved it. It was great.
Because that had a built motor and a bunch of other stuff too,
yes,
right?
That was a 363 Jack Rouse stroke motor, lower suspension.
Where's that car now?
That car, to anybody's best guess, that car is in a private collection somewhere in the north, Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Okay, so that's kind of hidden out of the public eye.
That car has not been seen in years, from my understanding.
Okay. So these were basically replicas of that original steel body car.
Correct. These were 6 fiberglass replicas made as giveaways for the show winners in that particular branch of the ISCA show series.
Now, when I met you, I thought you had one of these, but it was an aftermarket body kit, if I remember correctly, a green one?
I had built one. I had just a regular Cobra II Mustang, and I bought that body kit, had a body shop put the whole thing on, build bumpers, put the fog lights in the car. They did the whole thing. There was some subtle differences. The opening in the front of this car is actually not opening, it's painted black. It's not open. Same with the back. Those cars were actually cut out to let air in and out.
So that was more functional, where this is just a little more looks almost.
Thicker fiberglass, obviously better fiberglass technology. Fun car. I regret selling it. I've looked for that car for years, which is how I ended up with this.
Now, in the case of this car, you said there were 6 of these made. Are all 6 around? Do they all still exist?
From my understanding, 1 was destroyed overseas in an accident, and 5 of them remained. The whereabouts of 4 are known.
And I'm sure you're in contact with those people who own them.
Correct. The other 3 owners that I'm aware of, except for 1, is the original, were all bought. The gentleman that has one of the cars, his father wanted a car. He had a show car. I spoke with him. He actually still has the car. The other 2 gentlemen have bought theirs through other sources, kind of like I did with mine.
Now, this car is obviously in unrestored condition. I mean, you can obviously see some cracks in the paint, but it's cool that it's original. Are the other ones the same way? Are they, I mean, you know the history of the other cars?
No, it's funny. I've actually contemplated doing some body work to this and fixing some paint issues. The other 2 gentlemen I talked to, or 3 gentlemen I talked to, have these, all had the cars painted because of fiberglass cracks, brakes, rust.
So this is the only Monroe Handler that's still in the original condition as built.
As far as I know, this is the only one left that has the original yellow paint, decals, stripes. The other 2 cars the gentleman put the hood scoop on. This one does not have one as the way it came. Doesn't have the side window louvers. Those, I think they put those in the car.
Okay.
I have them, but they've just never been put in the car.
Now, we've talked about this a couple times. I know you've talked about painting this. I've been trying to actually talk you out of it. What is the plan for this car? I mean, obviously, this is kind of, I know, a dream car for you. And what is the goal with this car? Kind of leave it as is, or?
I think we're going to do, I think this winter, my wife and I talked, I think we're going to do some touch-up work. Down there in the corner, there's some cracks. There's some cracks in the fiberglass. I spoke to some people about having that fixed, touching up the lettering possibly, and clearing over everything to keep the paint the way it is.
So more preservation than actual restoration.
Right, not a complete restoration. There are some things, like I said, the cracks that need addressed. There's just one or two slight little rust issues that need addressed. But all in all, I want to keep it this way. Be no motor work done, no transmission work.
Keep it as close to how it came as
correct.
possible.
When whoever won this car, I want it to be the way it was when they won it.
Okay.
So
basically, when it comes to modification, that's why you picked up the other Mustang.
Right.
Let's go take a look at that one. So I knew you bought this one my first time seeing it. This is a 78?
Right, this is a 78 Cobra II.
Now, you told me, I actually thought all Cobra IIs were V8 cars, but apparently they all weren't.
No, you could get a 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, or the optional V8 in a Cobra II.
And this one is a V8, but not original.
Correct. This car started out life as a 6-cylinder. The original owner, after we had it a while, pulled it out and put a 302 in it.
And what's done to this one so far then, besides obviously the engine swap?
Engine swap, Edelbrock heads, new carburetor, has the 4-lug Krager mags on it, side exhaust. I'm going to do some other things with it. We're going to put a T5 in it. We're going to go through and freshen the motor. It's a little weak. Other than that, we're going to drive it and enjoy it. Same thing we do with the Handler.
Now, is the plan for this one to save miles on the Handler, or are you kind of taking both of them now to show some stuff?
If it's close enough that the wife and I can drive them, we'll take both cars. I think more or less the Handler's going to sit. This will do the local car shows. The Handler will do more of the international or the bigger shows like Carlisle.
Are the graphics on this correct? Are they original? I mean, I know they did a lot of crazy graphics in the 70s. What's the story of the graphics on this car?
My understanding with this car is when the owner had it and the warranty expired from Ford, he wanted the graphics painted on because they started to peel. So he had a buddy of his strip the whole car off, painted all the graphics on. The only thing missing is they missed a Roman numeral 2 back on the quarter panel. Everything else is painted as correctly as it should be for a 78 billboard.
Now, do you plan on, you said you're planning on doing some engine work with this, you plan on building a bigger motor for it with a 5-speed? I mean, this is obviously the car you're going to modify and maybe sort of leave the Handler alone a little bit.
Correct. The plan for this eventually is possibly a 331 stroker, nice Tremec TKO transmission in this, maybe do a 373 gear in the back. I have wheels for it, it's going to get larger wheels, just to make it a little more friendly to drive back and forth in the 4-speed.
Nice. Well, now let's look at your other Mustang II. So this might fall under maybe half a Mustang II. This thing is cool. I mean, tell us about this. Where did you find this thing?
A friend of mine found this for me in northern Pennsylvania, I guess just below Erie. Company in California made them. This is the second one I owned. He has the one I had before. I don't have much information on the company. I've actually seen maybe 3 or 4 of them. It's just a Mustang II go-kart made to look like a Cobra. Has almost like a King Cobra front spoiler.
Now, I got to assume this was built, I'm assuming in the 70s, back when the cars were built. It looks like it's that old anyway. Maybe early 80s?
Yes, best guess that we can come up with is these were built the time the cars were popular.
Okay.
Mid to late 70s.
Now, what's your plans with this thing? What are you gonna do with it? Are you gonna kind of, I mean, I don't think you or I are fitting in here currently, but.
No, the idea with this is we're probably gonna paint this to look identical to the Handler. Take the Handler car shows on the back of the trailer. This actually fits in the back of my wife's Excursion.
Okay.
So we can put this in the back, have both cars on display. I kind of fell into it, so we'll kind of paint it to look like the Handler.
Awesome. Well, this is very cool. Thanks again for sharing the Cobra IIs with us. If you're a subscriber to our channel, which hopefully you are, if you're a Mustang II guy, hey, CJ's has a Mustang II guy on board, on staff. Any questions, let us know.